with your host, Hello Africa. Welcome to the Africa Desk Live with your host, Semantics King Jr.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, wherever you are. Good morning, wherever you be living. I'd like to say welcome to our show. To every one of you watching right now, whether you are in Freetown or Sydney in Australia, Lomé, Togo, or Los Angeles, Banjul, the Gambia, or Philadelphia, Dakar or Dallas, Vancouver in Canada, or Tripoli in Libya, Cairo or Paris, or anywhere else on this planet where an African heart is beating. Welcome to the Africa Desk Live. This platform, this space was built for you, not for governments, not for donors, not for foreign interest, but for you, the African citizen, the African professional, the African student, the African mother and father, the African dreamer who loves this continent, even when this continent breaks your heart. I'm Semantics King, and this is the Legacy segment, chapter 3 of 4. If you are new here, the Legacy segment runs through May 9th, which is next week, and it's my love letter to the people who built me, who built with me, and who I had the privilege of helping build. 4 Saturdays, 4 chapters, 1 thread. Welcome once again. But before we begin, we would like to wish Ethiopia a happy Independence Day, as that African country celebrates its National Day on May 5th. Last week, we heard of other African countries who celebrated their national days. So just before we begin the show in proper, I'd like to say it is a pleasure to have each and every one of you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Oh, is my camera the?
Yes.
Is it clear or you want?
Your camera is on.
Okay.
Your camera is on. Sorry. Yes, your camera is on, Mamadou. Thank you. Thank you. So just, yes. In 2006, I was selected for the WordPress Institute Fellowship, which is an international journalism program that brings 10 journalists to the United States every year. That year, we were 10 from 10 different countries. For 6 months, rather, we crisscrossed the country together, visiting newsrooms, asking uncomfortable questions, and figuring out what any of that meant for journalism back in our various countries. And one of the people I did that with is a veteran Senegalese journalist whose work has shaped African media for decades. He's with us, and I think you just saw him there. He needs almost no introduction in West African press circles. But for those of you who are just joining us outside of that world, let me tell you who he is. Mamadou Thior is one of the most respected voices in Senegalese journalism, a veteran of the press for decades. And for the last several years, he is the president of CORED. CORED is the Senegalese Media Ethics Council. It's the body that holds Senegalese journalists accountable to its own standards and has trained a generation of reporters. And that has, on more than one occasion, stood between Senegalese press and the state when those lines have been tested. He has been the voice on the record for international press freedom organizations like the Reporters Without Borders, the Committee to Protect Journalists, UNESCO, the Voice of America. Every time Senegalese journalism has faced a serious test, he has been the voice in the room during those tests. And he is, I should say, a friend whose work I have admired for a long time and whose mention has opened doors for this show very well. Welcome to the show, Mamadou.
My dear brother, Semantics King Jr., it's a pleasure, interacting with you. You mentioned it. It has been a long journey between us. It started 20 years ago almost, and since then we keep interacting. You being in the USA, I coming back home in Senegal to continue, in my job. And you mentioned what brought us to know each other, which was a wonderful experience. We'll talk about it later. The WordPress Institute, WPI. We are both are among the class of 2006. But for those who are listening, theory viewers, I want to thank them first and greet them for taking the time to watch the show. My name is Mamadou Thior. I have been a journalist in Senegal, let's say, since 1998, when I was being a trainee at the well-renowned, I can say, continental French-speaking journalism training school called CESTI, which is here in the University of Dakar. And then I graduated from that university, but I did have the chance before going to the training school for journalism to be at the English department of the same university up to my master degree. That's why I can say that my English is not so bad. And then it make things easy when came to this to journalism. When I graduated from that school exactly in 2000, I got my degree from that school. And then but before that, I was active in the newsroom because only one year of training in that school. They send you in the newsroom for you to practice. And as we say, practice makes perfect. So they say a very good experience. The first one, I can consider myself as a young journalist. It was in 2000. We got a political change in Senegal for the first time because only I won't say the single party ruling, but the Socialist Party, which ruled the country for 40 years since the Senegal became independent in 1960, was defeated by the incumbent, headed by the most known Abdoulaye Wade, the opposition leader, who was at the time 774, getting old, but she was strong enough to fight. And then that was his fifth or sixth time he was, fighting against then president and defeated him finally. And that was a very good experience as we young journalists, because at the time what we call the cellular phone was emerging, and election was disputed in Africa. Whenever in other countries they say that in the US you will listen Donald Trump will say fake election. That was even the case here. Abdoulaye Wade was keeping say that Abdou Diouf dropped the election from him, and finally in 2000 in that election we used what we call the cellular phone technology. What we did on the very day of the election, all day life, the private radio, which has hot major, they was live. Telling what is going on the spot and how the vote is getting on. And when the ballot was closed, what was interesting is we same the same pattern. Being live to give the results, because as far as the ballot are closed, they count the vote, and then in less than sometime most 1 hour you can get the results of all the bureaus. And that was by 10 p.m. the same day, Sunday.
So I know we're going to get into details on much of that. I want to bring you back to we before we get into where Senegalese journalism is right now. I wanted to see what actually brought you into the profession. Was there a particular story you saw? Was there a particular passion you had? What what brought you into journalism? What made you to say, I want to be a journalist?
Oh yeah, I do have some role model when I
Mm,
was in elementary, listening to the radio station in my home village, because I'm an islander. I'm living
mm,
when you compare it to Dakar, something like through to over 200 kilometers from Dakar. But
mm,
the area where I'm living
mm,
is an island. There are almost something like 20 islands in that area, and we are more close to the Gambia, for those who know Gambia, than to Senegal, to which we are belonging. So, at that time, we were fond of radio station. When you listen, you will, hear some voices which became later my counterpart when I started as a young journalist, which was funny. And I tell them, thanks to you, I became a journalist. And then not all, the same things are being said by younger journalists towards me, which is quite flattering. This is the best way it become. You see semantics, who is a journalist, who is doing very very good. That's why we in our area, you have to be a role model and try to be excellent, because the job we are doing is a job of expertise, which require knowledge. Because when you talking to everybody, you are put inside the people who are very seasoned and those who are less. So you have to know how to handle all these people. So that's why
mm.
we have a very, very difficult task. But if you know what you are talking about and what you are writing about, you won't have any problem.
Absolutely. So now, this I framed this particular segment, the Legacy series. It's a fellowship that crossed over the ocean, where journalists like you and I came together. We went through the program with the WordPress Institute. We spent times across different news organizations. But I want to ask you this directly. Take us into WPI in 2006. Like, what was the process like for you before being accepted? What were the qualifications? What did you have to do for a young journalist who is listening right now, say in Lomé, Togo, or in Freetown, Sierra Leone? They may want to come to the program. Take us into WPA. What was the process like, and what did you do to be accepted?
In fact, I heard about WPI thanks to, people, somebody who know about the program, and he sent me the link. So I went to know about everything and what you have, all the detail you have to submit. And believe me, I almost missed it, the deadline. you know, it when they said there was something like 4 days left. So I got all the materials required. But it was very, very difficult because, as you know, so there are different elements you have to submit. So when from Senegal to the US, I tell myself, if I go to the post office to submit it in 4 days, I won't make it. You know what I did? I went
Mm,
as far as the airport post office, and then I took like a DHL system, the rapid, sending, and I pay a lot of money.
mm,
Finally, the WPI, when they receive it in 3 days, just one day
mm,
before the deadline. So I mean, I do want it to to be part of the program, and I put all my best to inside getting all the different materials, because they will ask you different programs you have done, and it is not very easy. But if you prepare it very early, you can make it. Because when you in a French-speaking country like Senegal, let me tell those who are listening to us, it is maybe most difficult than in countries speaking English, as in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and things like that. Imagine WPI was funded in 1961. They are celebrating the 75 years this year. Only two Senegalese has succeeded in the program. The first one in 1991. His name is Mr. Jang, and I'm the second one. And I'm not as lucky as Mr. Jang because after 15 years after Mr. Jang, I was the second one Senegalese to succeed. And since 2006, 20 years now, no Senegalese has made it. In fact, when I came back from the program, let me tell you, I shared the program and many Senegalese journalists submitted it, but so far they didn't succeed to be accepted.
Yeah, it's a very competitive program, I must admit. Very competitive. You have to
It,
have really
it
well
is.
an amazing profile of commitments and accomplishments you've had before they can consider you. So yeah. So what did we actually do during those months we were in the U.S. Going from one newsroom to another? Can you talk to the audience exactly what we were doing during that period?
Yeah, the program, WPI program, the WordPress, there is in two phases. When you arrive, we are like any student, we go to the classroom, I mean, doing classes and things like that. When we are that for that part, we are touring the USA. And this is, I mean, the, the part most of us love. I can speak for myself because you have the chance to go around something like 12 or 15 US, I mean, states. With even most Americans will tell you they are born in the US, they have not been to so many states. So the program is diverse because when you go to LA to see the movie industry, LA is Los Angeles. You go to Orlando for the NASA, and a very very good experience. I don't know if you want me to chip in
No,
when we
it's
go
good.
to the
No,
Kennedy
it's good.
Center.
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I was just sharing some of the pictures with the audience while you were talking. Just showing them some of the pictures.
when we went there, there was one of our colleagues from China, Lu Hongyong.
Hmm.
Maybe
Hmm.
if you have the time to see the show, we are saying hi.
Uh,
He
yeah,
was not admitted
yeah,
because Americans were suspecting him to be a spy.
yeah.
That's what they say. And we were fortunate for him, but all the nines, because we were 10, he was the only one not to be accepted because he was a Chinese. This rivalry between Americans and China. So he was then said not to be accepted for that visit because during that visit we went to as far as way at the Kennedy Center where they launched all these uh, uh, kind of experience for the sky, like the Artemis lately went to the closer to the moons. We did have a close view of how the NASA is working, and then you to New York, you go to different states. Really, it was a very 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 thrilling experience.
Yeah, certainly. So we went through the program for a few months, and then you went back to Senegal with something you may have
Yeah.
taken from the U.S. newsrooms we visited. What was it? What did you do with it? What did you take?
Yeah, let's say I was not keen on using latest technical elements. I was an old-fashioned journalist when I was going there. To be honest, even when I was recording my voice using a laptop and record and edit, I was not very keen on that. So yeah, it helped me in that way, and it brought me to be more more modern, up to date. Because when you see the American newsroom, how people are at the time, it was 20 years ago, they were in advance compared to African newsroom. So in that area, uh, I learned a lot about the journalism. And we have to thank also that old fat guy, John Holman. You know, if you remember, I mean, his lesson was very good, and the other teachers, because we do have very good teachers before we going for practice, going around for the USA. So coming back with all this background, I mean, I did have the chance when I came back to coordinate the newsroom of the Senegalese national radio, which is a big responsibility. And with all this experience I got from the USA, it helped me. When you coordinating, it's mean giving different tasks, because you have to coordinate nationwide. So how you can connect to the Senegalese National Radio Newsroom, we have over 100 reporters nationwide, and you have to coordinate all of them. And on a daily basis, when you need a report in an area, to tell him what to do, and then give him all the things you want. And then it was really a very big task, but thanks to this experience I got from the WPI, I mean, in trying to make my job easy, I can say, yeah, it helped me a lot.
That's absolutely good to know. Now we're going to do a segue a little bit here. You mentioned the journalism in Senegal, so we're going to go to CORED, which is the body you are leading now. You've been president for CORED through one of the most consequential periods rather in Senegalese press history. For the audience that doesn't know, and that includes a lot of viewers outside of West Africa, what is CORED, and what does self-regulation actually do, like when it is working? How can you define what that is and what job you're doing with that particular agency?
In fact, Correct has was created in fact in 2009, but prior we do have CRED, which is the same role. CRED was founded in 1998, and then these are self-regulatory bodies, because as you know, they are the regulators which are created by the government in place. And these regulators, we know sometimes how they can, come in the sector and create problem in the way they are regulating. So this self-regulation emerged with professionals of media to tell the state we are responsible enough to deal about our problem, and we can, if there are some problems, we can deal with those problems. The court I'm chairing, for example, have a tribunal of the peers, a tribunal where if we have a journalist who have done wrong, we brought him there, and then the tribunal will see if she or he guilty or not. If she or he is guilty, so he can be condemned, and the condemnation can go as far as, I mean, taking from him the press card, which means for the time being or definitely, and which are quite very heavy sanctions. So these are some kind of mechanism to try to avoid the intrusion of the regulators of the state, and it is quite working, because most of the job I'm doing as the chairperson of CORE, we don't wait for journalists to commit problem. We are losing pedagogy. So from time to time, we organize some kind of workshop on different problems that press may face, to tell them, if this is the case, this is what you have to do. Avoid this and avoid that, and then you will be safe. So since we started this mechanism, we are now from 1998 up to now, almost 30 years. It has been quite working. And what shows you that it is working, the government in 2017, when we were, the government, the National Assembly was adopting the new law of the press, the court as an entity is recognized by the law. So this showed that the government itself recognized the importance of this mechanism, and then even countries in the sub-region are coming to see us. For example, I can tell you I have been to Mali, I have been to Guinea, to tell them about our quite successful experience in Senegal, because in their country the mechanism is in place, but they are facing a lot of problems.
So there is a long argument, Mamadou, inside the journalism profession itself globally, that and the argument is whether self-regulation is even enough, or whether it ends up being a way to keep the state's hands cleaner than they should be. How do you answer that?
Yeah, in fact, we promote self-regulation, and this is the best we can do. But we remind journalists that there are some red lines, and because you have to be frank with everyone. In the sector, you will see any kind of journalists, those who are maybe acting for unknown reasons. For these kind of people, you have to be open and frank with them, because this kind of speech selling is just to let people know that the first person is the journalist, when he's alone, who knows what is good and what is bad, and can make the good choice at that moment. This is the best journalist, because at the same time, another journalist can make the bad decision for unknown reasons. So that's why we insist on responsibility, because it is very key. When we try to consider that the job is just a game, so sometimes look at some African countries, they were burned down because some journalists were not careful enough to deal about problem. Let me take the case of communities problem, religious problem, and ethnic group problems, which are very sensitive matters. The way sometimes, because you are belonging to that ethnic group, yes, I have to deal about it in a way which can bring violence. This is not the way we should, a good journalist should behave. We have to be responsible enough to know that we should not be people bringing violence.
Absolutely, absolutely, good. Now I'm going to go a little bit into politics here. We're talking about journalism, but we cannot talk about journalism and leaving politics out. 2 years ago, I mean, we are 2 years rather into the Faye and Sonko government. Faye is the president, Basil Jimmy Faye. He's the president of Senegal. You can call his name better than me, Mamadou. And then Sonko is his prime minister. So it is the two of them running the government in Senegal right now. Where is press freedom in Senegal actually standing right now within the current government or current administration? I'm asking you not because I think you give me a clean political answer, but because you've been measured about this in a way most observers haven't. You said that it's too early to fully judge the administration. At the same time, you've called the prime minister's recent remarks on the press clumsy. Walk me through how you are reading this moment in Senegal's history.
No, let me be frank first. I cannot condone the prime minister attacking the press. Yes, where press freedom stand in Senegal 2 years after the arrival of Ousmane Sonko, the prime minister, and President Bassirou Diomaye Faye. Luckily, yesterday, Reporters Without Borders published the latest news about that. And Senegal lost 4 places compared to last year, ranking 78. Senegal went down during the former regime of President Macky Sall to 104, and then he made it. He made it back to 74, and then for the last one published yesterday, the rank is 78. We show that for this 4th place loss, it means that there are efforts to be done. And then both of President Bassirou Diomaye Faye and Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko should understand that the press role is to be critical of those who are in charge. This is my viewpoint. I'm working in a public media, but I always tell people we have to be critical and then tell things how they are. But I'm not in favor of baseless criticism, because sometimes people are making criticism without any basis, and this is not good. This is not good for our credibility, because I'm against Ousmane Sonko. I have to be critical all the time. So if they are doing good, tell it. If they are doing bad, tell it. So this is the way we can be respected. But yes,
Absolutely.
they are trying to better things. Even if we seen some journalists being, called to the police, but today, at the time we are speaking, no journalist is in prison,
Yes.
which is quite something we should be rejoicing, because in the last years of Macky Sall, it was quite tough. There were many of them in prison, maybe for different reasons, and that's it.
That's good. So now you talk about prisons. Now, the arrest rather at La Tribune and La Cochendine at, I don't know how to say that the right way in French. You can help me there. But what did you see in those, and what did the reaction inside the profession tell you about where the press is right now, given what was happening then and what is happening now?
Oh, yeah, you mean La Tribune, Le Quotidien?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think the bosses of those newspapers. For those who are dear viewers, The bosses are both are newspapers like Tribune. The boss, the guy is a political guy, even if he's a businessman. He's in politics and very critical of Joma and Sonko. So that's why, you know, in his newspaper, on a daily basis, if you make the count, they are very critical. Even if things are going well, you know, they treat it as they want, maybe they're supposed to do it. It's the same with the other one. The quotidien, which which was among the most seasoned, I mean, newspapers. But the owner is a journalist, but he's a favorite of Macky Sall. He's a friend of Macky Sall. He does not hide that. At the time we are speaking, he's exiled in Paris, and he has been in court there because, I mean, the government wanna bring him back to face charges, financial charges, and then, you know, I don't say that there's a link, but sometimes you have to understand, because, you know, even in the U.S. sometimes interest behind the newspapers reflect on the content of the paper. But this is where we, as Correct, as a self-regulatory body, we keep reminding the journalists, it's not because the boss is a political bound in favor of the government or the opposition that you have to follow him. Do your job, and then if you do your job, respect it. But if you follow your job, your bosses in what he wants, so you will lose all your credibility.
Good. So, Ms. Good, you mentioned that there is the Pape Alec Niam case in 2022 and 2023 was a
He is my
defining
boss
moment.
now.
He's what?
He's my boss now at yes.
He's your boss now. So that's good to know that you were one of the journalists who just was in jail. And then who signed the international appeal. Looking back then, what did that case reveal that we should still be paying attention to today?
In fact, yes, well, Papa Lenya, he was arrested because, as I said, for Majamba Jan, for the owner of the quotidien, I mean, they are journalists, but sometimes they are defending causes. And in defending Usman by that time, so Macky Sall, decided to arrest him and put him in jail. So we, as organization in the press, we decided to fight for him to be released, because even if maybe we can blame him somehow in some of the way he behaved and what he was defending, for the principle, we didn't want it, the government to think that you can easily take a journalist to jail. And then he was arrested early November. It was 2022, and we get together and make him succeeded in getting him out in less than 2 months. He went back to jail also, and then we were compelled to do the same. But finally, he was released. But he was not alone. There was other journalists arrested at the time for other reasons. We were very, very, very busy at the time because the situation was tough. It was the time where Usman Sonko was giving hard time to the Macky Sall regime, and then they didn't accept all these kind of journalists maybe defending Usman Sonko cause.
Okay, so that's good to know. Well, we actually have spent most of this hour inside Senegal. but you've been part of Continental Press Freedom Networks for a long time. From where you sit, what is the African press freedom story right now? Right now, that the international coverage is missing.
No, it is very risky, even in 2026, to be a journalist in Africa. Yesterday, when reporters without borders was publishing his latest index of the press freedom around the world, there was the brother of a fellow journalist from Benin who has been arrested in, can you imagine, in Abidjan, and then put on a plane and sent to Benin, really on baseless things. And the guy is in jail now, and many others are being arrested. Most of the time, they use the law on what we call this kind of telecommunication in countries. We see that we have some law on the press, and at the same time, most countries, there is another law which is very restrictive on use of telecommunication. Like when you use the social media, you have to know when you're a journalist how to behave on your social media. Otherwise, they can, this can bring you to jail, and that's what happened to this. His name is Sosupe. He's from Benin, and other journalists. So it is risky.
Okay, I think we lost Mamadou right there. Okay. While we try to get Mamadou back, we are going to take a brief break, and then try to see if we can get him back to the studio here to rejoin us. If you are just joining us, welcome to the show. You are listening to the Legacy 3 segment of our conversation with veteran Senegalese journalist Mamadou Thior. We'll be right back.
Beauty, everything so exotic. You need to see my baby so exotic. Every dish she do so interesting. I never can take my mind off her. Mama Africa, Mama Africa. Let me take you to Togo, Ghana, Ethiopia, Uganda, Nigeria. Oh Nigeria, oh Mama Africa, yeah. The love and peace is so exotic. It's so exotic, yeah. Let me take you to Africa, Mama. Mama Africa, Mama Africa, yeah. Mama Africa, Africa. Cause it's not beauty, my baby get her. Lando, they get her. The land is so green. The land is too green, you can feel the wind in your face. You see the birds in the sky, the waters in the valley. You can feel the perfect smile. You can see the crystals in the water. You can see the highest mountain. Reach that you go feel them. If you reach that you go touch them. Africa, yeah. The love and peace is so exotic. It's so exotic, yeah. Let me take you to Africa, Mama. Mama Africa, Mama Africa, yeah. Mama Africa, Africa. Cause it's not
Welcome back to our show. I'd like to welcome you back to the show. We are in conversation with Mamadou Thior. He is a veteran Senegalese journalist who is in conversation with us this morning, this afternoon, wherever you are and whatever you are doing. We'd like to say welcome to the show. If this is your first time joining the show, we will like to welcome you, and we ask that you kindly share the show with your audience, with someone you know, with a friend, with a relative. This is the Africa Desk, where we discuss African issues, where we discuss education, we discuss, governance, healthcare, the importance of the African diaspora keeping in touch with the continent, and how each and every one of us can work together to make Africa the best continent it could ever be. I know that there are challenges that come with having such a lofty idea, such a big dream, such a big vision about keeping Africa and making sure Africa is the best continent it could be. Despite those challenges, despite the hurdles, I believe that Africa has one of the youngest population on the planet, and Africa is endowed with lots and lots of natural resources. And Africa is also endowed with lots and lots of human resources, young people who are educated, who are ambitious, who are desirous of making Africa better. But we have challenges, serious challenges. Please drop your comments in the chat and let us know what you think about the conversations with Mamadou. Um, Unfortunately, we've been trying to get him back into the show. We are not successful yet in doing that. We'll keep you posted on that. And thank you. Let me look at the comment section. Emmanuel says, with these regulations, the media will be improved, especially nowadays with all these social media podcasts. Absolutely, Emmanuel. That's a really good point you're making there. And we believe that making a difference through these regulations is helpful. We journalists have a responsibility to be accountable in reporting accurately the stories they intend to tell the people. While also holding government accountable, the journalists themselves need to be held accountable as well. I'm going to take a brief break here, and I'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. We are still trying to get Mamadou back in the studio, and we if you're just joining us, Mamadou has brought us to speed both about the fellowship we were on together in 2006, as well as the current media landscape in Senegal and in Africa as a whole. The WordPress Institute fellowship is very competitive. You do not have to have a degree, I might add, to be considered, but you have to have really great experience in journalism. You have to really be someone with a track record of accurate and balanced, consistent reporting, major breakthrough into your reporting career, what accomplishments you may have had. And if you meet those criteria, you apply. They take only 10 journalists every year. They take them from all over the world. During our time, we were representing countries. I represented Liberia and Ghana. Mamadou represented Senegal. I am going to see if I could share some of the pictures one more time so you could take a look at what I'm talking about here. So let me show you this picture. So I represented Liberia and Ghana. Ginger, the lady on the far right of my screen, you see sitting there, she's sitting by me. She represented Australia, and next to her is Lu Hongyon. He came from China. He was representing the Republic of China. And Mamadou alluded to the experience he had at one of the places we visited because of his Chinese citizenship, because it was a really high sensitive area we visited. They kept him out because he's Chinese, and he couldn't be allowed in. Again, was that the right call by the U.S. government is debatable. Next to Lu Hongyong is Sylvia Taules. Sylvia came from Spain. Next to Sylvia is my brother there from Papua New Guinea, Sam Volum. And then next to Sam Volum is the lady sitting by Sam is Rusudan Sarateri. She represented the Republic of Georgia, not the state of Georgia in the United States, but the Republic of Georgia. And then next to Rusudan is Chaw. He represented Myanmar. He came from the Republic of Myanmar. After him is Solange. Solange came from the Republic of Brazil. So she was representing Brazil. And then obviously you see Mamadou there, the tallest guy among all of us, with his African suit on. And then after him was Stuka. He represented Czech Republic. So we came from 10 different countries representing our nations. Mamadou is I think Mamadou is back in. Mamadou, can you hear me? I see here. Yes, I see you, Mamadou. Can you hear me? I do not hear you. I'm not hearing you at all, Mamadou. Yes. Your audio is off or very low. So as I was saying, we represented each of these countries, traveling across the United States, seeing how the U.S. media operates, and then take those back to our various countries and promote press freedom and become much better journalists. And each of these individuals have gone on to become great in their professions in their various countries. Unfortunately, I didn't go back to the refugee camp, although I was representing Ghana and Liberia at the time. So that was an experience that we had. I do not think that Mamadou is actually coming through at the moment. So unfortunately, it's technology, and we're having difficulties there getting him back. But be that as it may, the show is still here. We have less than 5 minutes for the show to be over. I was looking forward to asking Mamadou about what press freedom is like, what a young journalist sitting in Africa might be thinking. What does he need to do? What does she need to do? What is it? What is the hope? What is the future for them? Those African journalists. Unfortunately, I am not able to have Mamadou back live. I see his screen is up there, but I do not see him. Yeah, Mamadou won't be able to. Yeah, sorry guys. This technology is very interesting here, but this is the show. With 5 minutes to go, I'd like to say thank you for those of you who joined us, and for those of you who will be watching later on. In the remaining segment of the show, I would have loved for Mamadou to talk to us about the young African journalists who is watching us from Dakar or Monrovia or Nairobi, places where the work is even harder. What they need to hear, and then talk about the biggest challenges based on his experience as president of the regulatory body for journalists in Senegal, but also as a veteran on the continent of Africa. I believe that there are lots and lots of challenges that journalists face right now on the continent of Africa. It ranges from financial to safety to politics. There are, and I'm going to say this, we all journalists are individuals. They are citizens for their various countries. Okay, they are responsible for reporting the news accurately, balanced with clarity. That's that is the responsibility of each and every journalist. If you have a political leaning, do not make that display. Don't let that be known. It's kind of very difficult to be neutral in this day and age, right? But you can be reporting your news and seemingly appear neutral or relatively balanced in the eyes of the viewers or the readers or the reporters or the watchers of your scholarly work. You can report your news and still maintain responsibility and accuracy and a level of balance in your reporting. It is very difficult to be neutral, I might say that, but do not let your um, your political leaning or ideology determine the accountability piece and the accuracy of your reporting. If you let that happen, then people have questions about your objectivity. We are individuals, even here in the U.S. Most of these U.S. Journalists, they know who they vote for. They know which party they support, but you do not easily see that manifest in their reporting. And I think this is what needs to be done in Africa. It's very difficult. There are lots of reporters, journalists in Africa who do not get paid for the job they do. They get paid very low. And so that creates a tendency or temptation for them to even leave the career and move into seeking job in governments. In the case of the Republic of Liberia, I've read where some senior journalists actually sought opportunities within the current Liberian government administration. Because why? Well, it's government, right? Government pays, even if the pay is not regular, government pay is higher and perhaps even better than journalism pay. But then the question is, what informed your judgment to do that? Is it passion? You're seeking to make an impact, or you're seeking to make your pocket fat and bigger. So it's an individual decision, that needs to be made. It's not my call. I'm just putting out there what I think. And again, this is my opinion. My opinion could be wrong, but realistically and professionally, journalistically speaking, that is the responsibility you need to carry. Do not let your political leaning or ideology display itself such that people question your objectivity. You have to be able to balance your reporting. We got 1 minute to go. So let me do this. We don't think we'll be able to get Mamadou back. Okay. Next Saturday, the fellowship, that crosses the ocean, this brings it to an end now. 1 minute to go. Let me say this quickly. Next Saturday is the final leg of the legacy segment, the ones that marry me. I'll be joined by Mrs. Miriam Isaac, who is from Cameroon, is a senior project manager and the president of the Minnesota chapter of the Project Management Institute, and Mr. Adiboyi Aiku, a veteran Nigerian-Canadian cross-border executive leader and director at one of Manitoba's largest hospitals in Canada, who will share their experiences living in Africa and now working at senior leadership roles in North America. If you've been following Legacy, if you were here last week, you were here the week before that, please show up next Saturday. The series needs its final chapter. If today's conversation meant anything to you, something to you, do one of four things for us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Africa Desk Live. Follow the Africa Desk Live page here on Facebook. Share the live with a young person who needs to hear this, and drop us a comment like Emmanuel did and tell us what landed with you. Until then, I have been your host, Semantics King, and I'm looking forward to interacting with you next week as we meet and discuss anything and everything that is affecting people who come to, who travel abroad, seeking greener pasture, the challenges they go through. Thank you so much.
Ooh, Africa.
We choose the path of permanence to build a high fidelity